Any other stories about how you can make the most of the opportunity working with universities, trade schools, community colleges, to find that talent? And then how do you then kind of pitch that their role in joining the organization, being a part of the succession plan over the long term? Open to anybody.
Dave, I'm going to go actually almost the opposite direction. I think the colleges and universities actually are doing a great job trying to make people available. But I think, particularly in the manufacturing side, I don't need somebody with a 4-year degree. I'm looking for somebody. I'm looking for skill. So that the trade piece of it, but also, you've got those folks that I've already made my choice. I'm not going to go get a degree. And now I've got a family, and even if I wanted to, that doesn't fit my lifestyle anymore. So I think it's looking for other ways to get people upskilled. We're looking at other things like, okay, we have an operations management apprenticeship. So how can I very quickly get the skill set I need that puts me on a career path to go to operations management without having to go back and try and get a degree? So I can still get certificate training, but maybe I don't have to take world religion to get it. So it's very specific of these are things I need in my basket to be able to be a plant manager, an ops manager, or director of operations. What is that skill set? And then helping companies set up a plan that says, okay, here's where the skills gap is. Here's the skills assessment, what people need, whether it's by person, by department, by team, and laying out that path how to get there. So maybe simplifying it with some tools like that and other options. We have to think outside the box a little bit about what are other ways to get people skilled and moving down the path. If somebody coming out with a 4-year degree that's not gonna make sense. I've got a 4-year degree, I'm gonna need to make a lot more money. That's why I went and got my 4-year degree, right? So I'm not interested in starting necessarily at an entry-level position. I'm coming with a knowledge base. So we've got to bridge some of those gaps in more creative ways.
Other thoughts?
I'd like to add to what Jamie had said. But first, to your original question, I have run internship programs with colleges, and it can be very symbiotic. If someone from the company, HR, goes there and speaks to the students and becomes more visible and speaks to a class, for instance. I've also hosted career days where high schoolers, we were tapping into that demographic of you may not go to college, but here are some fantastic opportunities that you can jump right into. And we had career days where we would bus in high schoolers, seniors, juniors and seniors to walk through our various departments, so to speak. And they got hands-on, close up, and went to the manufacturing plant. It was a very cool experience for the employees participating in it, as well as the high schoolers. And I think about 500 or so students went through on that career day. And a couple of them were so super excited that they said, when I graduate, I'm coming back and applying. I want to work in that environment. 2 out of 500. But the point is, it's like you can spark some talent that young. And just to kind of go on a tangent to that, again, speaking in more of the hands-on technical aspect, who may not have a degree, I've found a lot of success for the technical manufacturing positions to tap into veterans who that experience alone, those transferable skills that they may have can work very well in manufacturing. But if it is a highly technical role, like one of my former manufacturing companies, very, very sophisticated technical skills were needed. They had those raw skills and the aptitude and the motivation, but how do you get the skills gap? And how do you fill that gap? And so what we created was an apprenticeship, but very, very specific. So someone who came in, they had enough talent and motivation to pair up with what we considered senior technicians who wanted to do that. So in essence, it was a way for them to give more to their career and career succession. They were still technicians doing the hands-on work, but they also had that mentor hat. So it was personally fulfilling to them to teach the craft they've been doing 20 years to someone new that was coming in. And so it was a year-long program. It was structured to be a year, at very specific milestones, and being money talks to motivate those that group of talent. You hit this milestone, you get X more in a bonus, and you also get X more in your hourly wage. And at the end, they see the dollar amount at the end after going through, I think there was 5 milestones. But the nice thing is it was measured, you had a mentor, they were not going to be left alone, and customers were still being taken care of. Nothing was going to, the service wasn't going to lack in that area either. But those folks who were really motivated, they got to hit their milestones on their own schedule. There was a couple superstars that made it within 6 months. So, and there were a couple others that didn't make it past their first or second milestone and had to be transitioned out. So I love those programs. If you've got the dedicated mentors to pass on that knowledge, it really is. In that position that we had for field technicians, it also had an element of customer service interaction. So again, speaking to what Jamie had talked about, that the people skills, right, that can then transfer into leadership roles. So it gave them both the technical hands-on experience that they needed in mechanical and engineering, but it also gave them that here's how to interface with the customer, because it was all on-site work that they were doing. So I'm a big fan of very structured apprenticeship programs.
Elizabeth, I think too, you keyed in on veterans. In my past roles, when hiring, I often worked with like the Lucas Group and other military recruiting firms, and it's very hard, I think, sometimes for when veterans re-enter civilian life, for them to be able to translate their experience in a resume that makes sense to a civilian. And so, if you're reading a veteran's resume, you're not understanding. I have families, all veterans. I'm married to a veteran, but have done a lot of work through manufacturing with veterans, and have found that if you can help them translate that skill set, you'd be surprised. But we get a little myopic in our focus of, I'm automotive, so I want somebody with automotive. Or I'm printing, so I want somebody to print, as realizing that manufacturing is manufacturing, right? A cucumber to a pickle, a piece of steel to a gear, manufacturing is a process, and we all think that ours is very, very unique. But if we look at in terms of the big picture things, I can learn the detail stuff. But if I've got somebody who comes in and understands chain of command, I've got somebody who I know has a known work ethic, I've got somebody who's going to go, yeah, this is factory life and it's kind of tough, but nobody's shooting at me. This is somebody who understands that, and I know what it's like to get up and have to come to work every day, and I'm okay with that. And I understand concepts of leadership. So a lot of times with veterans, if you can look at that, that's a great labor pool. And I'm always amazed when I was working with a veteran trying to help him find something, and he was making $20,000 a year working at a gun range. He's got a degree in supply chain. And he served and he ran a logistics unit, and he just didn't know how to articulate that into the business sense. And so I think that's an untapped labor pool.
Mm-hmm.